Thank you so much. I think that's it in terms of questions for now. If you have any more, just leave in the chat and I'll pick them up later on. Last but not least, we're going to call on Sally. Sally is an experienced property investor. Her key area is service accommodation, and she's going to be covering systemization, which is very key if you want to get into service accommodation. So over to you, Sally. Let's see if I can. Okay. You're muted. Yeah, you're good.
Awesome. Thanks so much to do that. Awesome. Brilliant, Jack. That's so valuable. And Claudine, so great to hear what you're up to. It's really exciting. I love hearing what everybody's doing. So really insightful stuff there. So I need to share my screen, don't I? Let's do that.
Can do that. Yeah.
It would help. Yeah, so I've got some slides because I've got some examples of the systems that we use. So SA systems really help you to structure your business and run it successfully without having to be involved all the time, because if anyone's involved in SA who's here, so let me know if you are, who's already got SA units. Claudine, you can put it in the chat if you want as well, or you can raise your hand as well in the participants list as well if you want to. But anyone who's involved, and I recognise some names here, there's so many parts to serviced accommodation, because actually, yes, it's partly property, but it's also very much hospitality, of course. So, you know, unless you outsource it completely to a management company, if you're operating it, that is what you're doing day to day. And so I'll give you a bit of background. As you can see from the slide there, yes, Serviced Accommodation Secrets is my podcast. I think IQ asked that. And I started that nearly 2 years ago. We're on episode 95. And it is completely free. And every week I share really what's happening. It's very much a documentation of the business and what we've got going on, because there's always stuff. And especially since March, COVID has actually been really interesting from a point of view of SA, because it's such a flexible rental, for guests, really. They don't have to commit to 6 months. We've been able to carry on and stay open, and I know lots of you have, because I've got a community WhatsApp group and lots of questions and help for each other. It's a really strong community of operators, actually, not just in the UK, but I do know a lot of people in my local area and in the UK. And so I think we've all supported each other a lot, which has been awesome. But yeah, we started 3 years ago, my husband and myself, because he decided that he needed some support in looking at property strategies. He'd been in the corporate world of IT forever and a day and wasn't really having much fun with that anymore. And I'm an artist, that's my vocation in life, so nothing to do with property or anything like that. But we did training at Progressive, and I really love actually the whole mindset aspect of training, as Claudine was saying, and Jack. You know, your personal development is huge, and all the things I've done in life, it's 90%. And also the people that you work with, the people that you meet, and it's just so inspiring. I think you know, we're like a whole that we're each part of, and I love helping people, hence starting the podcast, because it's like, wow, all this stuff that goes on, and it's like you tip a bit out of your own head and share it with everybody. So what I thought I would share is the SA systems that we use and how we put those into practice day to day, and how you can use those if you're not already. So let's get started on the slides, and I'll talk through them. If you've got questions as we go, that's fine. I can see you all in the gallery. I'm just moving that, sorry. Screens everywhere. So yeah, the goals really tonight are to give you an introduction to the systems that we use. And it's really about building a strong foundation for your business and really recognizing what you do already, but you may not have written down anywhere, or you may not ever have delegated it to anyone because you're trying to do it all yourself. Does anyone resonate with that? Maybe. So the thing is that we can all be our own worst enemy sometimes, because it can be, I'm just putting my volume up, by the way. Is that good, volume wise? Good, good. Yeah, excellent. I actually discovered I was a control freak, but I'll come to that in a minute. Never knew all this time. And really thinking about what you want to get done in terms of your business, and allowing other people to see what's happening in the business, because obviously with service accommodation you have the whole guest experience from when they book, you know, have they paid, what's going on with them. You don't want to keep on top of that 24/7. You want to be able to outsource that. So it's like the guest dashboard, which is in Trello. Claudine mentioned Trello. In fact, we use Trello as quite a strong repository for our business. So the guest dashboard means that anyone can look at that as a snapshot of what's going on, and it's really easy to update. And there's massive benefits to your life and your business. So as Claudine lives in Spain, as you can tell, Jack has time to do like millions of things, clearly, and obviously very experienced. It's like, wow, there's so many things he does. But you can't do that all on your own, and you don't want to be, because you're in business as an entrepreneur. You don't want to replace it with a job that's really long. So why have systems? So to give you that freedom to do those things, do the things you really like, and also to provide a consistent service. So if you go to get your hair cut, has anyone read The E-Myth? Raise your hand if you've read The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. Yeah, so that's so true. There's lots of examples in that book. If you haven't read it, I would. Somebody with a passion for their business but ends up working 24/7 and hates it, and can't make ends meet very well, and also can't provide a consistent service. But if you discover how to provide that service that people love, we're all creatures of habit. So if you find a hairdresser that you really like, you don't want to go back and find when you're there again that things have changed. You got a coffee before, but now you don't. You get left. So read The E-Myth, because there's a lot in there. And certainly for guests who like your property, and we do aim towards the business market, so longer term bookings is what we're looking for. We were aimed at corporate guests very much, so people who are working on projects over here, and they send workers chiefly from overseas. So you can imagine how that went in March. Winds of space for a little while, but we kind of pivoted and we've got more contractors, and we're actually really full now. And so basically you decide who you're aiming at, but once you've got really happy guests, you want to keep them. And if you go changing things that they didn't want you to change, they're going to get upset. But also, you know, if you can contact guests quickly, they know what's going on, communication's good, then that just puts their minds at ease. So systems really help you do that. And systems are really effective and cost effective. So if you're not reinventing the wheel every time somebody books, you don't have to manually type a message, you don't have to think, oh, what do we do now? You know exactly what to do, you've got it documented. If you're not there, somebody else can do it for you. Then, as I said, the guest knows exactly what's going on, and it doesn't cost you loads of time. You don't have to just think, oh, what's going on, if you've got different scenarios. There is something to be said, as your systems will be for business as usual generally, and there are exceptions. And I'm quoting my husband there, to be honest, because he was like a systems architect in IT, and I always try and cover every eventuality. And in fact, I go off and do things randomly, creating chaos behind me, and it's then that the systems have to come in, because you can't just have chaos, obviously. It's a bit of an artistic thing, I think. I don't know. So yeah, it's a balance. He's the one who's always trying to make me do things in a sensible way, let's just put it that way. But also you can do things in a repeatable way. So for example, we've just got an AA COVID confident accreditation, which means that we can advertise that and make guests aware of that. And it means we have to have an enhanced cleaning regime, and we've documented everything that we do. So he'll create a document that is repeatable. We can use it for different things, and having that kind of framework, and it's at the core of our business suite. We've got lots of tools that we use, means that it's much quicker to implement things. It's really easy to keep track of things. And there is actually quite a lot of compliance in, well, there's areas of property anyway, but certainly with SA, there's quite a lot of compliance and making sure you're not operating at risk. So really important to have everything up to date. So thinking about focusing on serviced accommodation, of anyone who's got into it, you might have thought, oh yeah, that's brilliant, I'll just make loads of money, the revenue's massive. And you might have found that actually you're always on your laptop or always answering calls on WhatsApp and got guests phoning you in the middle of the night, and it's not the lifestyle that you were hoping for. Is anyone in that situation sometimes, at least? It can happen. And the operational side of serviced accommodation, particularly with leisure guests, because they don't necessarily come quite as often. They might come back every year, or they might come back every quarter or whatever. They don't know where anything is, and they're much less forgiving than corporate and contractor guests. So you can be really like wasting days if you're looking after guests in the style that hospitality would expect. And we want to give a brilliant service to our guests. So really important to think of serviced accommodation in the scheme of your whole life and your whole lifestyle and what you really want to be doing. So rather like Claudine is in Spain and she can do what she wants, she's leveraged it out. Really think about what you want to be doing day to day. Do you want to be at the end of that phone? Do you want to be constantly harassed? Because the thing I always have is like, oh, has that person been answered? Have they been responded to? And the control freak thing comes out in me. So I have to really watch that. But if you have processes and procedures of how you do things, that's fine because it's dealt with. It's all cool. You can relax. Yes, you have to oversee things and make sure things haven't gone a bit wild, especially at the moment, because we've got to make sure that we're keeping up to, the standards with advertising and everything. But generally speaking, if you know things are being dealt with, that's fine. But if you wanted to run SA, but live on a beachside location, you would have to get all your systems in place. And yes, it can have brilliant revenue. So we're pretty much back to our normal prices. Through lockdown, we did do some stays at cost for NHS and other stranded people and workers, but we stayed open and it's actually gone really well. We've been in profit and now we're back to normal rates and booked up really well. In fact, one of our corporate guests got stuck with us for a couple of months longer. And so, you're making like £1,000 a month per property at a decent kind of rate, and so that's all good. You can put that into the equation, but always evaluate your deals and everything, obviously. But you want to be thinking about what you actually want to do with your life and take your vision forwards. And you might want to make a difference in the global scenario. Do you want to be part of something bigger? What is your place in the global community? So we really want to work towards making a difference to people who are disadvantaged across the globe, as well as people here. And as I said, I really like helping people myself. So really focus on what you want out of your life. I've got a lady who just finished my mastermind, bless her, and she has family out in Malawi, and it's really important to her to make sure her business works really well because she's thinking about her family, being able to go back out and visit, and things that are really important to you, really will make a massive difference in your life. Really think about those things when you're planning your business, so if you're not in SA yet, think about how you're going to do it really carefully so that you don't just get sucked down this sort of rabbit hole of endless tasks, but make it really work for you well. And think about leveraging, as Jack was saying, because if you can outsource the tasks that are repeatable, which quite honestly pretty much everything is, then you're going to be able to work on income generation, tasks that generate your revenue at a higher end as well, and that's going to really make a big difference to you. And so we have a VA, and so we're giving our VA the chance to learn lots of new things, because we're always doing lots of new things. And certainly when we got all our systems in place and we've improved things, and you know, everything's in a state of flux always, as the guys were saying, everything changes, everything's dynamic, it's growing. You look at something and you think, how can we make that better? You have different people working with you, but our VA has been with us for over 1.5 years now. And she's learned so much, really added to her CV and had the chance to improve and grow and help look after her family. She is overseas in the Philippines. I did try a UK VA, so it worked okay, but not that well at certain crunch times. So we just decided we'd go for AJ, who works with us, and she's actually got colleagues as well. So she is in a position where she'll be able to train people too. And one of the things about, you know, your whole vision for your business as well is you can be yourself and do the things that you love to do. And if you can systemize your business and just oversee it, that's going to really happen for you. And you could probably monetize that too. You know, Jack will know a lot about that. You know, all the lifestyle and the things that are important to you. If you're congruent and you show that on social media and you start helping people as well, if you really want to expand into different areas, you can do that if you're not just stuck in running your business as a job. So I think that's really, really massive and really worth thinking about. So let's get into thinking about what you're busy doing. So you might find if you run SA that days just disappear and you don't really know what you've done. And often you might think, well, I was on the phone to this guest and then I had to send this message. And I remember doing all these things early on, and it was just, you know, so sort of frantic, you know, where's the team, what's going on, what's happening with the linen? It was just like, and what's really important to do is uncover what you're doing, you know, which tasks are you doing, and actually track your time. And there are lots of different ways you could do this. You could literally put it in something on your phone, like just Evernote, or if you've got Asana, you can use a thing called Harvest, which is in there. But even if you just write it in a notebook, but make sure you do, or Excel is good, any which way you do it, write down what you do all day, and you might be really surprised of what you spend your time doing. And certainly some of the guys in my mastermind are like, oh my God, I just found 3 hours in my day. Social media might have been some of that, but not entirely. You know, just getting up an hour earlier, it doesn't really hurt. I don't get up at 5 a.m. by the way. I get up at more like 6:30 or 7. So it's doing a lot of running lately, but that's another story. So think about which tasks take a lot of your time, which tasks you don't actually like doing at all. And yeah, I can think of a few I really don't like doing. It's like you have to be dragged to do them and you resist them. It's not good. You don't want to spend your life doing that. And there might be some that you're not good at, but as I've put here, mostly they're going to be the ones you don't actually like doing because you don't put the effort in to really learn them. Has anyone found that? You know, some things you just really don't want to do that. And so you just sound really bad at that. So, and some things you're not good at because you just haven't learned, but you want to do it. So that's fine. Some things will actually cause you a lot of pain. So some tasks, for whatever reason, they might cause you pain. And when we'd been up and running for, I don't know, about a year, I was just a complete bottleneck in our business, and I wouldn't let go of things. Nobody else knew what was doing, what was going on, what guests were doing, even though we had a channel manager. So does anyone here not know what a channel manager is? Because I can explain. You put your hand up. Let me know. Do you all know? Channel managers basically help you manage your calendar anyway. But I just discovered I was a control freak, and I just, had to control everything, because it wasn't even that I thought I was better at doing these things. It was more that I just had to know. Weird. Anyway, so you have to let go of these things really and think, okay, how are we going to do this? So I have had mentorship with different people. So there are a couple of guys in the service accommodation community, Matt and David, who helped us set up our Trello dashboard, and also Steve Day. Does anyone know Steve Day? He's brilliant with business systems and helped us actually get set up. But then you kind of make it your own as well. So you learn and then you add in. So always learn from people who are really good at it, and then you might want to think, actually, it's going to be better if we do this. So don't be scared. There's a lot of logos going to appear. These are the apps that we use, okay? And essentially, it doesn't matter that these are the ones we use, because you could use similar ones, but we happen to use these ones. And I'm just going to tell you what they all are. I'll sort out my pen. So Toki is our channel manager, and that essentially means that when people book, the booking goes into a single calendar, and it links to all things like booking.com and Airbnb, although honestly we don't get that much in the way of bookings from there so much. We work with corporate agents like Silverdor and Situ. We have direct bookings a lot. I try and make sure we get lots of relationships going, but if you use a channel manager, then you won't get your double bookings, and that links into other things. But some channel managers you might find are really brilliant, and that you don't need all these additional apps, but you're not necessarily only going to do serviced accommodation. So for example, things like Asana forms a sort of backbone organization of our business. So we've got our goals and our business plan in there. It links into areas of our business that then ultimately links into our goals, and then our daily tasks and tasks for our VA and things like that. And there's an accountability in there. So a lot of these are SA specific. Trello, as I said, is our guest dashboard. So when we get a booking, it goes straight to Trello automatically. And it also goes straight into Slack. Does anyone here use Slack? Anyone know Slack? Yeah. So Slack's really good from the point of view of communication. And it also links in with our phone system, which is this one. So our VA can receive phone calls and make phone calls on a single number. So there's no having to have WhatsApp calls or anything like that, unless you can't get hold of somebody a certain way. But this is really brilliant. You can text as well. So Slack is great in that way, but it integrates actually also from Toki. This logo you might not recognize is a thing called FormSite. And FormSite is like it sounds, it's a form, funnily enough. And when our guests book and they've paid, because we get them to pay up front, because that's the time when they're most motivated really, before they've actually stayed, we get them to fill in a guest registration form. And this is really good for finding out the configuration of beds, you know, their preferences, what kind of things they like, in terms of welcome pack and things like that, and getting their real email address so you can get direct bookings, getting you know, their contact details, and also getting them to agree to opt in if they want to. So that's really cool if they want to opt in, because you can't market to them without the opt-in permission. And then we also get them to upload ID and agree to our T's and C's. And we've got an extra bit for COVID-19, we have a pre-stay questionnaire as well. So FormSite is awesome. And once that form goes out to them, so from Takit, template emails, so emails of all the communications are templated, and they're all backed up in Trello and somewhere else I'll mention afterwards. But the email goes out, they click on a link, they can fill in this form on their phone, and it takes 2 minutes. So it's really easy for them, but it means that we know all about what they need so we can help them the best. We used to, before we had this, we used to send them like 6 emails, or it felt like it was probably like 5 literally, to find out the same information. And this makes it really easy for them. And the other thing about FormSite is that once they submit this form, it goes back to Trello. This isn't my flow chart, by the way, this is just to show you. So Trello then has the information about the welcome pack that they want, the configuration of beds, and also maps out the upcoming clean for that stay. So that all goes from that guest registration. And we also use it for our guests when they're due to have clean. So we do mid-stay normally, we're kind of managing that. It's a bit difficult at the moment. We're usually allowing 24 to 72 hours between cleans at the moment because of COVID, but our team know exactly when a clean needs to be done, who's in the team, what's going on, because that's in Trello. So also we have G Suite. Does anyone use G Suite? Yeah, so G Suite's awesome, and unlimited backup if you've got teams. So it's awesome for backing up things like podcasts, massive files, any of your lives that you do. You should all be doing Facebook lives and things like that, documenting what you're doing, even if you're at the beginning of what you're doing. And so G Suite is awesome for your VA. So if you have a VA or any kind of assistant, they can do their work and then upload it to a certain part of G Suite. And then they have access to that area, but they may not have access to all of your documents in G Suite. And the other way to manage access is LastPass. So LastPass is awesome because it's a password control center. And with passwords, obviously, if you have to give a separate password to every site that you've got, it's a complete nightmare. And when somebody leaves, it's like you have to change them all. With LastPass, you literally just change it once, because one password gives access to everything, and equally you can switch it off. And so it's very secure, it's really good. And we have it for ourselves on all our systems. Even on your phone, you can have it. And it's just brilliant because it just helps you manage all of those things. When you get a new site, you can give your VA or your assistant access to any site. So maybe to upload listings, maybe, you know, a new piece of software you've got, whatever it is, they can have access really quickly. We also use MailChimp. Bit of a small icon there, but for marketing emails, things like that, that does integrate into Takit, by the way. But also you can keep your mailing list in there and update it as well. So that's one thing we use. We used to use Stripe, but now we use take payments. If you use Stripe, I strongly recommend you change to take payment. One, because the commission is so much lower. Second, you get the payments much faster, and third, it's 3D secure, whereas not all of Stripe payments are. And we really learned our lesson because we had chargebacks last year, which were quite sizable, and we think they were fraud. Well, one of them was definitely fraud because it was a cloned card, but we think that 2 others were probably fraud. So take payments much more successful for that, but there are obviously others, you know, all different payment types. And finally, the financial aspect of our business is Receipt Bank and Xero. And we have accountants who deal with everything, because this is the area I particularly do not enjoy at all. So it's one of the things that you just need to get done and pass on, as far as I'm concerned, whereas other people love it. So, you know, it's just one of those things. Anyone here like accounting and finance? Are you keen on it? Yes, okay. Well, that's good. You see, it's so good. We're all different. But for us to have it in that system, it's fabulous. So I'll just give you a little glance at what they look like. So Trello looks like this, and this is our cleaning board. It's a bit small, but basically you have a list and a separate card on each of them. So we have a column here for welcome packs, we have a column here for guests staying, upcoming cleans, and other information. So that's Trello, and you have lots of different boards. If I had more time, I'd show it live, because it basically has all of our property information in there. We have FAQs on another board. So if somebody phones our VA and says, how do I do whatever it is, she knows a lot now, but when she was new, she could just look at that and find the information. And we have a property board that has a wealth of knowledge and information about each and every property, you know, everything you want to know about it really, floor plans, council tax, business rates, TV information, you know, who's the supplier, everything in there. And that also helps you. We've just got a compliance board we're setting up as well for things like, we're looking to get quality and tourism compliance and things like that. And all of your health and safety, you know, enhanced COVID compliance and things. And then I mentioned we use Slack. So this is what Slack looks like as a screen. This is a screenshot from today, actually, because you could just, although we assign tasks in Asana, you can just have a quick chat in Slack. And I do have Zoom meetings with my VA once a week for, I don't know, 20 minutes, just to touch base, find out how I can help her. Because it's all about serving each other, I think, you know, place of service is where we all come from. And so if I can make her life easier, make her job easier, because she does work really hard, then that helps me too. And then this is to keep with our calendar. So that's showing bookings in, there's our rentals here. As I said, it's a bit small, but at a glance, you can see what's booked and what's going on, and all your guests are in there. But we take payments separately, as I mentioned, but you can integrate that with Stripe if you want to. Yodel I mentioned here because we have a channel within Slack that is the phone channel, and so that becomes active when the phone rings, and you can do that just from your handset. So we did try out Moneypenny and call answering services, but really they're just more like glorified answer machines. They can pass on messages and stuff, which is great, but they can't actually deal with anything for you. You know, it's still coming back to you. So if your VA who, you know, has learned your systems and knows what's what, can answer questions, that's so much the better. And you might end up, you know, with a property manager and a bigger team of VAs, you know, that's where we're going to. So those are some of the things looking a bit closer. And we do also map everything out in flowcharts. So I might actually get the actual flowchart, because that's the top of a flowchart. Thinking about from when your guest actually books to when they stay and check out, this is what happens automatically. And then our VA does quite a lot currently, just because we've got systems within our channel manager to a certain extent, but it's all really easy to manage. Let me just see if I can present that. Oh no, it's not on the right page. Bear with me a second. There's a thing called Lucid Charts we use, and I can just, it's going to look really small, but I'll zoom into it. So once you know what you do, anything you do in SA, if you wrote it down in 10 steps, that would give you a process. And this is not my forte, by the way. I could spend days doing this, and people would come and look at it and say, that doesn't go anywhere, that arrow, what's it for? So it's best I don't do this too much. I kind of write down 10 steps and then think, okay, I'll make it look pretty, shall I? But yeah, no, all this kind of thing is not my forte. But if it is your kind of thing, it would really help you map out what happens, or literally just write bullet points. You can write a mind map of what you do. Bullet points are really good, actually. But this shows you that from when a guest arrives and books, these are the various systems that it goes through. So as I said, it's taking payment here, how we got the payment, form site goes out, and that automatically goes here. Zapier sends information into Trello, and that means our team sees what's happening. So it's a bit small still. So our team know what's going on automatically. If the guest hasn't sent details, we chase that. And then we only send check-in details and code once we've actually got our T's and C's signed and the guest has uploaded their ID. So, because you don't want to end up with problems like not knowing who's in your property, because there are laws we have to abide by, like immigration law, as well as the current situation. So people are always more motivated to give you information before they can get into the property. And once they're in the property, you're never likely to get that information with the best will in the world, because people are lovely, but you know, it's a bit tedious, isn't it? So if you make sure you get everything in the right order, it really helps you in your business. So here we've sent check-in details, got any other requests, the guest arrives and checks in. We send them a courtesy email and phone call, and they're staying. Do they need any help? If we resolve issues for them, so say if there's something wrong with, I don't know, the shower, you get it fixed really quickly, or the TV digibox, anything that you fix or have to resolve for the guest, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because how you react to them and how quickly you get stuff fixed is really, really useful for them to find out what kind of service you deliver. You know, they're thinking, oh, that's really fast, or, you know, just your whole way with them. So if you're really nice, friendly, approachable, that means they can give you feedback rather than having an awful experience and giving you a terrible review or not coming back. You know, you want them to have a really great time. So if you have systems in place, things don't get forgotten, and so they're looked after, and you can get stuff fixed quickly because you'll have a maintenance system and everything in place. So yeah, that's really important. And yeah, you can check whether your guest wants to extend their stay or come back, that kind of thing. And we've also got that in our form site form, you know, are you returning? And then make sure they get their checkout information. And we've got extra COVID questions at the end, so some feedback at the end as well. We send out an extra email. There's all sorts of things we do for COVID-19, so additions to our T's and C's, just to make sure people are okay, essentially. And yes, there are laws, so we have to abide by those. But and then afterwards, after the guest leaves, we follow up with them, see if they want to book again, leave a review, all those kind of things. So that is like a formal flow chart. And if that's kind of your kind of thing, you could do that. And what I didn't say is actually lots of these apps are free. That one, I think we do have a paid version just because we have a lot. But I think we pay like £7. And Trello, we use a free version. Asana, we use a free version. Take Payment, as I said, it's really low commission. Ticket, we may well change from. We've been thinking about it, and then COVID hit, and it's like, oh, I'm not sure. That's really cost effective. So I'm not telling you to get things that are really expensive, you know, exciting, shiny things. They're really practical, user friendly. LastPass I would definitely pay for, and G Suite Teams I would definitely pay for because they're worth their weight in gold. So you use it, Kudarat, so you obviously found it valuable. Yeah, that's good. So I will just skip through some of these because they are more to do with parts of the flowchart I just beat through. And then this is Asana. So Asana is awesome for, as I said, just the whole structure of your business, because we have task templates that we're generating each time something's done. So everything you do, as well as doing 10 steps, you can record your screen on the computer. So if you're using an app, or even just something in Excel, or anything you do with your business, if you put Loom on, you know, activate that, or use Screencast-O-Matic, something like that. So Loom, you can use the free version. I think it gives you 100 free videos, and then it starts making them unavailable. So you can download them in the meantime though. So if you screen record everything you do, then you could show that to a VA and say, this is how you list a property on a platform, for example. This is how you do this in the channel manager. This is how you do anything you do. And that means it's off your plate and onto their task list. And this is just an update of what AJ did this week, well, today, I think. And so this was an older slide, and I just updated it with today's different tasks that usually I will set or talk to her about, and she'll create. And then you just can comment with each other to see what's done, what's not done. And we have a whole to-do list process. So things that are upcoming, priority, delegated, done. So I basically try and delegate everything you can, except for the things you like doing. And I do still speak to clients as well, because especially if you've got a really big booking coming up, potentially a lot of potential revenue coming in for a nice booking, then they want to know you're interested and that you care. And a lot of what you're doing is showing people that you care, whether it's your clients or your individual guests or your landlords as well. So we work with our freeholders. It's to make it win-win for everybody. But Asana's awesome. Again, free version. And all the tasks that you have can link back into a specific area of Asana that you can have set up for a certain part of your business. So it's all working really well. And it's just helpful, because in the beginning we had a thing called Wunderlist, and I think that was taken over by Microsoft, and I realized I had no idea what our VA was doing because I didn't see this Microsoft thing. And so it was really time to get our Asana really up and running now. So those are some of the main things we use. And really for our business, and because I do help people, I can see lots of messages, but I'm not reading them. But in our WhatsApp group, I help people with a lot of things like systems, but also evaluating properties, researching your goldmine area, target market, that kind of thing, and providing the value that you want to provide for your guests, as I said, for your landlords and for yourself, and really engaging in that. And I think a lot of things that go wrong for people is that you might have training on something like serviced accommodation, and then you just don't implement it. You don't quite get there. And so I do a lot of work with engaging with the process, and mindset, as I said, is huge. I do have lots more slides, but I've realised I've been ages. Sorry about that. And I've really focused on operations. So I'm just going to whiz through this. So I've really focused on the operational area. So here is your whole guest experience and your customer service you provide, your team, and how you get your properties ready for every stay. But also you can have systems for setting up a new property, acquiring it, so that each time you do it, it's better. Each time you do it, it's easier. Each time you do it, it's quicker, and it just works better. Same for sales and marketing, same for your finance. And really, for me, what it's all about is your choice. So, what do you want to spend your time doing? The time you spend working on your business, is that the best use of it? Are you generating more income? Are you expanding? Is it working well? And yeah, to have choices in life, how are you going to spend your time? How are you going to generate money? Because money is the exchange that everybody wants. And a lot of times people, I think, worry about creating their dreams and want to escape what they're doing. So rather than having a situation that you're trying to escape from, I try and think of creating that dream and creating a treasure map, really, of where you are now and where you want to be. And mindset's massive. So you can do it. As Jack said, we're all just people the same as you guys. So you can do this. And it's really, really massive. People just want to be further ahead of where they are, and I've been like that as well. It may not be like that for you, but I don't know if any of you ever felt you should be somewhere better, and you should have got further. But I think it's really important just to start from where you are and think, okay, this is where I am now. I've learned what I've learned. Even if you've made mistakes, we all have. I know I've made loads, but that just helps you learn and grow. And from your SA business, think about the value you're giving. And as I said, the win-win arrangement to everybody, because you can provide an awesome service for people. And yeah, this is just going back to creating a treasure map for your life and your business. So yeah, that's really it, because your life, you know, it is a treasure map. It's exciting, and so don't be fearful, get excited about what you can do. And maybe you just need some help to get that going. So yes, I've got the free podcast, and Kujarat, you're very kind, you said I can mention I've got an online mastermind, and that's a 6 months weekly webinar. And there's also a mentorship attached to that, which is a 1-to-1 hour a week mentorship, and they're 2 different rates for those. So you can message me if you're interested in that as well. And yeah, ask any questions and breathe.
Thank you so much. Yeah, do you want to stop sharing so I can actually, let's
Yes.
have the faces we've got.
Of course.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Sally. That was really, really full of nuggets and things to take away.
Yeah, so I could have made it a bit shorter, but there you go. I do talk a lot. Just trying to help people as much as possible, really. But it's like, oh.
We've got, we'll just give 5 minutes for questions. So I'm just going to pick a few. I'm conscious of time. So we'll just have maybe a couple of questions that we can do. And the first question is, how do you train your VA? Process in training your VA.
How do you train your VA? Okay, so essentially you make sure they've got the key skills that you need. So find somebody who's proficient in things like Microsoft Office was one of our needs. So people had to be good at that. So our chosen VA, she's really good at that. And then everything you do in your business, as I said, you can screen record. So you can talk people through things as well, but there's a lot to be said for a video that can be paused and notes taken, that kind of thing. So that's one way. And also you can give them scripts of what to say on the phone, because our VA was quite nervous about talking to people on the phone, but now she's amazing. And, you know, she talks to corporate agents and they say, oh, AJ, I haven't spoken to you for ages, and things like that. And so it's all really sharing exactly what you do and the things you'd like to do. So if you've got tasks that are more obvious, perhaps you just have a written instruction, and within Asana actually we have a description of what needs doing, the intention for it, so why you're doing it, what the deliverables are, so what are they actually producing at the end, and you know, all the resources that they'll need. So do they need Loom, do they need Excel, or do they need to key, you know, which of our systems are needed. And then when they do that task, our VA does a recording of herself actually doing a task as well. So your own recording doesn't need to be really polished, because actually your VA might do it for you better, probably will. And it also helps to gauge somebody's understanding of something if they then make a video of what they've done. So if something isn't quite right, you could say, actually, that's brilliant, but I didn't think of doing it that way. That's better than what I thought of. Or you've missed this bit out, and that kind of thing. So it's more sort of overseeing at that point. But I think it's quite a lot of learning together, if I'm honest, because we recruited our VA about 2 months after I'd started a systems training mentorship, because systems does not come naturally to me, I can assure you. I'm more just go and do it, but the value of it is huge. And also you work in a team and it's really nice, you have great camaraderie. And actually our VA does a bit of work for one of my colleagues as well now, so she's learning more about social media. I don't quite know why she finds enough time, but and she's got colleagues as well who want to do different things, because they all have different skills. So the key thing, I think, is getting a VA with the skill set that you need for the basic task, and then yeah, an aptitude to want to learn things, and then yeah, just explain visually. I think it's the easiest way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, That's very useful, and yeah, I believe that's answered that question. Because of time, what I would do is I would look at the other questions and time is
Yes.
flying. But yeah, thank you so much, Sally, for going through that. Lots of things we can take away and implement like now, which aren't that expensive. So yeah, really, really appreciate that.
That's okay.
Yeah, I hope everyone else has enjoyed that. What it is that our meetup is second Tuesday of every month. So the next one is going to be the 13th of October. I would share the link with you in a few weeks with the next speakers. And I hope you've enjoyed this. There's loads to take away. But PM me if you need any information, if you need any help in your property journey, be it sourcing, project management, or whatever it might be. If I don't know, I might be able to help you, or I can direct you to where you can get the necessary help. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed it. And yeah, we'll see in a few weeks' time. Take care. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.